As Americans are coming to grips with a new reality, many have taken to social media to tell their stories about their coronavirus symptoms and their experiences getting tested. My next guest is actor Daniel Newman. You've seen him on the hit show The Walking Dead, and he tried to be tested for the virus after someone he knew tested positive. Daniel Newman is joining us now. And Daniel, just first tell us how you're feeling and how many days out you are from really the worst of it.
Probably about 4 or 5 from the worst of it. I was in the ER last Saturday.
Okay.
That's when they admitted me to the ER.
Okay, so just give us a sense. What were your symptoms? At what point were you thinking, I need to go get tested?
Yeah, I mean, this is my biggest concern that we're having here, because I had heard, through the media and stuff that people, unfortunately, and so sadly with this, are dying and they can't breathe, they can't move. And so I really was not concerned initially. I just had a cough. And then I started to have a little bit of trouble breathing, and it just progressed, but it felt like a cold or a flu. So it didn't really hit me until I'd heard that, somebody in the group had tested positive. And so I immediately, like anyone, you start thinking like, how many people have I just shook hands with? We just did Mardi Gras with thousands of people and Sam Smith and Dua Lipa, and like, what in the world do I have? And just to be responsible, I started I called my doctor. He didn't have the test. I called the urgent cares all over Georgia. Nobody had the test. Then they forwarded me to the health department, and the health department basically said, just keep calling around. And it wasn't until I was able to find this one giant hospital in Atlanta emergency room. They went through all of the questions and asking me everything to kind of make sure that it was a fit. And then they were like, come in immediately. And when I got there, they took the temperature and all the vitals, and they were like, yeah, we have to test you. So $9,000 later, they were letting me know we need the ER beds and your symptoms are super mild. So the government has told us we are not even allowed to process your tests. And so they just let me and lots of other elderly and young people go home to self-quarantine without even being able to process the tests.
Okay, but eventually you get tested, right?
No, so we physically, literally did the tests, but they weren't allowed to process the tests. Yeah,
Okay.
I think their ruling with the government was you have to either be elderly, have severe symptoms, or just came back from Italy or China in order to be able to have the government and CDC process the test.
But so you were at one point nearly just turned away entirely, right? Until someone recognized you from your role on The Walking Dead?
I mean, that's disgusting. Yeah. At the entrance, they had a tent, and they basically were telling everybody after taking temperatures, you probably have a cold, you probably have a flu, just go home, go home, go home, self-quarantine. And yeah, it wasn't and preferential treatment is disgusting. The fact that our healthcare system is turning everyone away. And then even after I got tested and had this huge bill, they still couldn't process the results. And this is, my point is that we really are going through. We have Iceland, we have Germany, we have South Korea doing thousands and thousands and thousands of tests. In America, we have all of these kids partying, for spring break at the beaches right now. Everybody out at the parks, everybody at basketball games. And it's not until a society can get tested that people can really hold themselves responsible and accountable to self-quarantine, knowing, and then also contacting all the people that you've come in contact with. We had this with, unfortunately, the AIDS epidemic and, HIV, and testing is so essential to be able to really lock down the virus and stop it from spreading. So now, 2.5 months later, it's just really unacceptable to not have tests.
Well, Daniel, thank you And we hear you still there with your cough. Thank you for sharing your story with us. We hope you feel better. And we're going to follow up with you because I think that $9,000 bill that you got socked with is probably something a lot of people are experiencing. So thanks for coming on
imagine
CNN.
a family. Yeah, my pleasure, you guys.
Totally.
Please stay safe,
Yeah.
wash your hands, and treat people with love out there. We're all going through this at the same time. So really, share love with each other. Thank you so much.
Very good words, Daniel. Thank you.
Yeah.